So before I was rudely interrupted, my computer came to life and started talking, so I had to turn that off. I'm going to continue. We'll call this video 2 then. We'll just kind of carry on. So what I'm doing here is I'm now going to go and complete the series of shapes on the fingers. And let's just go ahead and do that here. And to save time, I'm probably not going to finish this whole render, as I didn't finish Buzz or Jesse. Just show you enough so that you get the idea. And actually I pulled this out, the curve, to create what appeared to be a smooth edge right here. Lift and put a stroke up with your hand like that. You get a tapering line. If you really want to get nice fine points on your line, a line that tapers to nothing, that's a little technique you can use. And right here. Now I could freehand all this, but I'm just kind of showing you how nice it is to have that French curve there as a tool to give you these smooth edges. So now I'm going to switch to freehanding. So right here I can put a little bit more idiosyncrasy in this shape. When I get down here, I can improvise. I can see, okay, there's one solid shape, but then it breaks up right here. Now I will tell you right away that I've always been interpretive as an illustrator. I always try to improve, refine, simplify where needed. I don't just slavishly follow my reference. Everything is designed, really, so it's not just a drawing exercise, but it's also a little exercise in design to make areas look better, to make them read better. So what I did is I kind of simplified and stylized the shape as it comes down. And right here I don't like this shape, so I'm going to refine that again. And you can see I'm starting to wander away from my reference a little bit. That is okay. As long as I'm getting the right feeling to this, or as long as I'm not putting a reflection in the wrong place, we should be good. Same with highlights. So I get up here and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to let this thin down and just attach to this dark reflection, which then just widens out up here. Now here with the fine tip marker, I am going to fill this. Is just rather than change tools, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I get up in this area and it's a little ambiguous where I would have a soft blend and a hard blend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a shape like right through here and probably just stop right there. And the reason is, in this area you see we're now getting into 70–60% tones, starting to see some detail in the room. So what I'm going to do now is start with the 90 again. Now you can see, I see it here. I'm not sure how well it was shown in the video. This where I filled with the ink pen is actually 100% black. Where it's still 90 in a combination, it's more like 98. You can see that difference now. So even if I put 3 coats of this 90 on here, it's still not going to get quite that black. They're different media. They will give you different levels of black. If I feel like I've really got to have them match, I just hit it with the 100% black permanent marker and I can get that tone. And now these are more of a close match. I just got to be careful. Do not marker like this across that area. Once you have these dark tones in, do not marker across them like that. You're going to want to work each segment as a zone. If you do that, you keep yourself out of trouble. If you start blending across, like across all the fingers, a tone here and across into here, that gets you into trouble. I look at this area alone, not the whole finger, just this, what I call the ground reflection side, and I work that tone transition and I'm putting my strokes in following the contour. That way I keep this whole area clean, I protect my highlights, I protect my sharp edges, then I switch over here and I work this zone. Same thing on the next finger. Notice that the brightest object, which we'll call the highlight, is always on this side of the finger. Also runs up the side of the hand, up the tube of the arm, curves around the little sleeve here on his arm. Same thing here, it reappears over here. There's another highlight that comes in here. So I pay attention to that. Consistency is going to be really important. So now I'm going to switch to midtones. Just to kind of fast forward a little bit. We got enough of the dark shapes in that we can do that. And so I look and I see what is my brightest tone on these fingers on the left side. I'm going to say 10. So rather than start with my blender, I'd rather not use my blender up in the first 3 weeks. I'm going to start with 10. Do a little test. Is that the right tone? Looks good to me. And by the way, this is both a warm and cool. Cool on the right side, slightly warmer on the left. For right now, I'm going to stick with cool markers only. I do have a set of warm grays. I'll start getting into that in the next week or so. But for right now, let's just keep it based in tones only. So I have a dark shape here. I should have another shape here. I haven't established it yet. But I'm going to go ahead anyway, just so I can give you the basic setup. And you notice I really stopped short there and carefully say, okay, that's got to be a clean edge. You can see it in my reference. And here again, you notice my strokes with the marker traveling along that arc. And you see my pencil line is there. Probably could have erased that out before I started this, but we'll just blend it in. And I'm going to follow this contour and even blend over the top just a bit, but not like this, not across the edge, but right along the edge. And I'm going to pull a little bit of that tone up along the palm here. And I'll probably leave a little bit of white right in this area for now. Always easier to darken than it is to lighten in a transparent medium. And I'm just going to stop like there, and you can see we're already starting to get the chrome-like effect when you look at the reference. So having done that, I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other two fingers. Another rule of thumb is I work similar areas with the same tone. While I have that marker in my hand, I'll go around and globally and look, okay, see where do I have the same tone happening. And I might just start blocking in that particular color. I don't have my dark in yet, but let's go ahead and just do this. That sound you're hearing, that's my marker starting to dry a bit. When you've had your marker out for a while and you're working a large area, fairly large, it will tend to dry. But you notice I'm doing this, I'm flicking up. See how I can create a fade to nothing? I do that because I don't want this. You do this and you say, oh crap, I've got to blend this somehow right, and I never get it blended and I just keep ruining the area. But if you do this, look at that, I just stroke and lift. I can end an area without having to finish it and then pick it up again. Watch this. I pick up again and I actually stroke down in and then just continue the blend. And I do that specifically because I may want to stop and then work another area for a while. Then I would like to come back, right? So having done that, I give myself that editing option of being able to come back in while forming a hard edge anywhere. Again, it's a response to the way the media works. And I will tell you this too, with color pencil blending, it's very similar. And also with graphite. You're doing a blend around a surface, you don't just stop and create a hard line. You feather it off, and if you do that, you can actually continue with the blend later on. And those of you who've done like really intense detailed blending with color pencil know that you do not complete those in one sitting. So yeah, you're gonna have dinner, go to bed, come back to it the next day, and have to start it again. So now I'm going to actually go in and fill some of these spaces here. Just get it far enough in this video so you can see it start to take shape, the effect. Right there, let's see. I'm probably going to want to get out my ink pen for the really fine edges that are coming up. Whenever I see this little fine, thin reflection, I want to use the ink pen. When I see this fat reflection, I'm going to use my 90 permanent marker. So, staying true to form. And by the way, you can ink right on the top of the permanent marker and then return to using the permanent marker. Just make sure you give a few minutes for these water-soluble pens to dry. Water-soluble pens have to be water-soluble. I mean, they have to be marked that way. I've recommended Papermate, Statler, Micron, and a couple other brands. If you go to the store, if you order them online, determine if they are water-soluble. They have to be marked that way, otherwise they may be permanent. You can still use them, but when you use them on the paper and go to blend with your permanent markers, they'll just smear into your markers like any other permanent marker, and that's the difference. Just a reminder there of why I recommend that you have some water-soluble pens you can work with. Bring that to an end. I'm just going to bring that close enough. Let's finish this bit here. And by the way, use the same tool for the drawing. And you can see my drawing, I'm following it pretty much. When we get to our stone subject, if you're doing like a vase, let's say, like a polished marble vase, you're still going to want to use a curve of some kind for the outer edges and for ellipses, but for doing the texture, you're going to go into freehand mode. So I'm going to end this little reflection by freehanding it. And I'll just kind of stop the video here, keep them short. But you can see I've got the basic setup started. My bright side is still just the white of the paper. That would be my sky reflection. Everything I put the 10 in, and that's just 10, is now the start of my ground reflection. And then I have my darkest dark reflection. So I actually have my 3 tones started at this point.